Go notify Miss Hart that you're here. Feel free to use any of the facilities on the floor while you wait. The break room and bathrooms are just around the corner. Well, don't look at me. If you want someone to blame, I blame Lucas. Just relax. I'll take care of it. You can take the elevator to the lobby when you're ready to leave. Howdy. Well, don't look at me. If you want someone to blame, I blame Lucas.
Irvin was only on Gagarin for a short time, but I know that's where we'll get our answers. Happy to help. We've done everything that we can do for Irvin's case, aside from going to Gagarin. I sent some evidence ahead to the lawyer on Gagarin. I hope the lawyer on Gagarin has time to review the case before we arrive. Want to head to Gagarin? Not just yet. We've still got some business to take care of, don't we?
evacuate the building. Please find the nearest exit and contact emergency services.
Next stop. Gagarin or somewhere else?
Well, don't look at me. If you want someone to blame, I blame Lucas. Just relax. I'll take care of it.
Hey, you might want this. I was just thinking that this is about what Irvin saw all those years ago when he arrived. He probably stood here thinking that he was going to make things better. He had a good heart. We need to reopen the case. See if there's anything that was overlooked the first time. We've done some legwork remotely, but we need to do some good old-fashioned investigating now. Hopefully it will be enough to clear Irvin's name. Oh, you remind me of him sometimes, wanting to make things right. And when you said it out loud, you know, I actually believe we can do it. I just hope our lawyer is as confident. Yes, but listen. Nobody will stand up against the mining corporations around here. They're scared. She didn't want to lose the case, but she didn't have a lot to go on. Thanks to us, now she does. I sent that to our lawyer already. I asked her to confidentially review what we found. Ellie Yankton. She worked on Irvin's previous case. Ellie is one of the few lawyers on this planet who's willing to take on the mining corporations in court. Right. She said she would. Hopefully she can tell us what we need to do in order to clear Irvin's name. Let's stick together, though. Gagarin isn't a huge town, but it's not the kind of town that I want to get lost in.
Lost? Tricked the catwalks and just...
You ever read about the early history of spaceflight? So political. So...
Well, well, well. Barrett, you're actually here. Astounding.
Ellie! Ellie, come on. I promised we'd stop by, didn't I?
People make promises all the time, Barrett. And most folks try to avoid Gagarin, not visit it. Anyway, I'm glad you made it out here. We have work to do, don't we? It's not a resort. It's a working town run by mining corporations. You don't come here unless you need to, and you don't stay unless you have to.
Or unless you're a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer who genuinely wants to make things better for others. Right, Ellie?
You're kind, Barrett. Yes, I suppose there's that type of person as well. Yes, it was my first case as a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer.
Well, starting your career with a defeat is rough, Ellie.
It was. But in a way, it made me more determined. Not exactly, but similar cases. A corporation commits a crime and needs a scapegoat, so they select someone powerless to target.
The quintessential Gagarin tale.
Indeed. Down to business. Perfect. What do you already know?
So we already know that Irvin worked for Hephaestus Mining Company years ago, and they blamed him for catastrophic economic and ecological issues here on Gagarin.
Yes. He lost his case because he didn't defend himself, and we had almost no evidence without him.
I recall receiving a message asking him to appear in court a day after his funeral.
An unfortunate reality of interplanetary legal communiques, I'm afraid. He was publicly blamed for the economic woes, and his accounts were seized in compensation.
His account on Gagarin specifically. It was just the amount he was paid years ago for the job.
Right. They would have taken his assets and other settlements, but by law, his death prevented it. Well, we can bring the case to a judge here if we have new evidence or a witness.
What about the evidence we found so far?
Yes, well, about that. It's just not enough. Not on its own, no. It's circumstantial. Helpful to support our claim, but not enough. Best case scenario, we clear his name and his assets are returned, plus additional compensation. In order for me to go before a judge, I'd like to have some solid evidence pertaining to motive. The courts won't entertain a challenge to its ruling unless we're sure that something major was missed in the original trial.
What was the motive from the original trial?
We had no solid motive after our witness withdrew his testimony. Yeah, we need something major. Documentation, recordings, a witness, something.
It's been so long. How could we find anything like that?
I've thought about this a lot since the original case. The mine that Irvin worked at was shuttered in 2309. They probably still have documents relating to whatever happened there with him.
Not really. All I know is that it's a Hephaestus mine from 20 years ago, somewhere on Gagarin.
I don't have a couple decades to wait for you to search them all, so we'll need to narrow it down. Not necessarily. To Hephaestus, it might be cheaper to run away and let the dust bury it all. That's where you come in. I don't know which mine he worked at when the incident took place. In theory, you could find that information on a Foundry terminal, if you can access it. You'll need a passcode. That's the hard part. Besides the Foundry records, there also might be something in Irvin's apartment. If he knew he was being framed, he might have held on to some documents there.
Dear Diary, today we created an ecological disaster and then blamed it on an off-worlder. Love Hephaestus.
Funny. But you'd be surprised how often people write down things that get them into serious trouble.
Oh, do tell.
For comparison, I just finished a case against another company that was charged with illegally dumping waste near the town's water supply. Their permits specified a site that would have cost twice as much fuel, so they sent a memo to the driver to dump it at the first available location just outside of town.
They actually wrote that down. Classic. You know, now that you mention it, I know a cozy place nearby where we could relax and maybe find some evidence helpful for the case.
You both realize I'm still here, right?
Irvin had an old apartment nearby. I never sold it. We could search it and see if he left anything there from the job.
Why didn't you lead with that, Barrett?
Hey, at least I didn't forget entirely. Even the confidential records and salvageable equipment? Seems wasteful.
It was probably cheaper than transporting older machines around the planet.
Makes sense. Not many people wander around outside of the city looking for abandoned mines.
Why lock your door when you're the only person on the planet, right? Anyway, try to log into the Foundry system or convince someone to find Irvin's mine for you.
Sounds like an awkward conversation. Fortunately, the captain is rather good at those.
Hopefully, that's enough to work with for now. If you'll excuse me, I have to get some court documents ready for this case.
The Foundry district isn't too far from here. Probably never intended for these walkways to last this long. You're done? Impressive. Wait a second. What about this safe? I bet it's locked by a terminal. Well, if you ever doubted Irvin's genius, look at all this. Still chugging along 20 years later. Aha! Will you look at that? If we go to town hall, bet we can get a copy of that hunting license. Hold on. Is that what I think it is? Is that Herb? Irvin's employment contract? Let me see. All right, we've got some solid leads, it looks like. The employment contract and the hunting license at Town Hall. Much better than liquid or gas leads. That much is evident. It was a bit strange going through Irvin's old things, though. I was hoping for some old pictures, but nothing. What's that you have there? A plant? No, but I did find a few slates that might give us a clue. As well as a reminder to finish a physics paper that I never did. Beautiful and resilient, as extremophile plants tend to be. Although this self-sustaining habitat dish gets some of the credit. I bet it could survive without care for a long time. Evolved or altered, Irvin used to experiment a lot with extremophile plant life. Maybe he made the perfect plant buddy for his windowless apartment. In any event, I'll go through Irvin's notes in more detail later. There's probably a flowchart somewhere with this little guy's name on it. Oh, on that note, we should give it a name. I'm thinking something simple yet refined. What do you think of Harvey? Then it's unanimous. Okay, the three of us should get back to it. You, me, and Harvey have a case to solve. No idea where mine H363 is, but we could search for it at the Foundry database. Open. The suspense is killing me.